8 years ago, my mom was diagnosed with stage 4 ovarian cancer. She called to tell me she had about 3 months to live. It was in the weeks and the months that followed that I realized I was really unprepared to deal with death. Here was one of the most important people in my life that was dying, and I had no idea what to do to support her. I would fly home every few weeks to spend time with her, and here was this woman who was dying, yet she was the one just drawing out the roadmap for the rest of the family. I was in awe, and I was so thankful. The last time I talked to my mom face to face. We were in her bedroom. I was sitting on the floor, and she was in her chair, and she leaned over and she grabbed my hands. And she said, "Laura, I have lived a good life, and I have lived a simple life. I have no regrets, and I am okay to die." Whew. And I'm just like, how can someone be that comfortable with dying? A few weeks later, my mom died with so much grace and clarity at the age of 75. Now come with me. We're gonna fast forward 4 years from there, and my dad's health started to change. I kind of panicked. I'm like, if this is a serious illness, number one, mom is no longer around to assist us here. And this seems kind of like a crummy time to say, "Hey, Dad, if this is your last chapter, what would be important?" The thing to know is when my mom was dying, my family did not talk about death. And we did not use her diagnosis as an excuse to start. My parents made decisions behind closed doors just like they did for 55 years of marriage. They handled things. My sister and I, we were the recipients of those decisions, not necessarily part of the conversation. So when I'm trying to tease this information out of my dad, all I got was, "Well, I totally trust you and your sister to make all the right decisions for me if I can't for myself." And I said, "Hey, Dad, remember? My sister and I don't always see eye to eye. And oh, by the way, you might want to change your strategy a little bit, if nothing else, to make it easier on us. Maybe this is your family's story too?" It got me really curious. How do you talk to people about death and dying that can't and won't? To try to answer that question for myself, I did a deep dive on death. If it had death, dying, and end of life in the title, I read it, watched it, and listened to it. It was obnoxious. I became a hospice volunteer and a death doula. Now, for those of you that are unfamiliar with what a death doula is, the best way to think about it is, we know a birth doula is a person who supports a mom to bring a new life into the world. You've got a death doula who works with someone who's dying, and sometimes their family, to navigate the dying process in a non-medical way. The more I went out into my community and I worked with people at end of life, I realized my family, we're not that special, we're not that unique. Basically, I'd say the majority of us are in the same boat in death and dying. We're floundering. Modern medicine has gotten so good at curing diseases that once killed us. We like that. That works. Now we're living longer, not necessarily healthier. And there's still a bunch of diseases out here that are looking for a cure. Toss in, we are still struggling making our own critical healthcare decisions. And let's just toss in the status quo that I would say myself and maybe the majority of us here are waiting a little too long to have those important conversations. I know I was guilty of that. So where does that bring us? From where I'm standing, we're all going to meet death. Okay, not all of us. Well, first of all, we're all going to die, let's be clear. The majority of us are going to meet death unprepared, in denial, and unable to advocate for ourselves, just like the generations before. I'm just thinking, man, we can do so much better than that. And I love a good social experiment. And because of that, I started a club to talk about death. And this is not your low barrier to entry club. This is your no barrier to entry club. And because of that, all of you meet the criteria to participate in anything and everything that we do. Welcome to the Pre-Dead Social Club. Where we are working hard to keep the dialogue alive. And we're doing that. We're getting more people talking about death sooner, a lot sooner. We are inviting multiple generations at the same table. We're getting death out of the shadows, but most importantly, we are building community. We're building community with events like Death Over Drinks, where you don't have to... You guys are going to want some of this. Death Over Drinks, where you're not required to drink, but we would like you to talk about death. And oh, by the way, please leave your career at the door, because you are just one fabulous human that also is going to die someday. And nobody is an expert on death. Exploring death is deeply personal, but somewhere along the line, we have just forgotten how much we gain by exploring in community. And to my delight and surprise, there are a lot of people that are interested in, what is this Pre-Dead Social Club doing? In one short year, we facilitated dialogues with hundreds and hundreds of people. They brought their spouse, their neighbor, their partners. They were in their mid-30s to the young 90s. And it didn't matter if it was Deadlines, Death Over Drinks, or another event that we hosted. Everybody walked away with another nugget to think about and to talk about, hopefully long before a serious diagnosis. Let me ask you this. If you were diagnosed with some advanced form of dementia and coronary artery disease, you got them both going at the same time, would you want someone to advocate for surgery for you, to put stents into your heart to extend your life, or no surgery? Basically, do you want to die of a heart attack or dementia? Have you thought about it? And if you have, who have you spoken to about it with? And if you haven't, can we start? 10 million people every year are diagnosed with some form of dementia. And by the way, I did not think about that scenario. This is a big shout out to Pat O'Connor, who brought this to our attention. And this is the type of stuff that we wrestle with at Death Over Drinks. People ask, how do you talk to people who don't want to talk about death? My suggestion, start with what's important to you. I really like how that's working for my dad and I. Just don't tell him I said that. I'm thrilled at the community that we're building with the Pre-Dead Social Club. You want to know what makes me really happy? I got a book in the mail the other day. It was by a Wisconsin farmer who died for 6 minutes, came back to life and wrote about it. My dad sent that to me. And he said, my dad also is a Wisconsin farmer, so. And I have to say, this book came as a mystery to me, and I'm like, must be my dad. And so my dad said, hey, when you're done with it, you send it back, because I'd like to read it. I just know, wherever my mom is right now, She's beaming because for the first time ever, I'm in book club with my dad. After my mom died, I was cleaning out the library of her books, and she had quite a few on death, dying, grief, mortality. My mom didn't magically just become comfortable with dying. She had been exploring it for years. And I found out she wasn't doing that by herself. She had this group of women that she went on retreat with every year for decades for a week at a time. I like to think that was her pre-dead social club. You guys, the majority of us here, we are rookies when it comes to dealing with death. But I'm here to tell you there are many, so many more people willing and able to practice with us. And the good news, you and I, we are not dead yet. Thank you.